Sometimes there's credit given when credit is not due. And that's certainly the case, the never-ending story between mainstream media journalists and Donald Trump.
I have to tell you, Anderson, I've never seen President Trump like this. I know people might say, well, I can't ever trust him. He's a phony and so on. People may say that. But, Anderson, I have to tell you, sitting in that room that close to him, I've never seen President Trump like this, and I think to some extent he is scared right now. And I have to tell you, people may not believe the president when he says any of this, and you and I have been, pretty critical of him from time to time. Yeah. This was a different Donald Trump tonight. I think he gets it, Anderson.
Oh, we'll see.
So that is Jim Acosta's take on Donald Trump sounding somber during the presser. Keep in mind that just a day earlier, he was berated by Donald Trump very publicly for simply asking Trump a question about what Trump literally said word for word. He quoted Trump in the context of his question, and Trump just totally berated him. And then a day later, Jim Acosta is like, wow, Trump, he nailed it, really serious stuff. What are you doing?
I don't know. I think that some of them are just, they're desperate for the time that they thought, the time before Trump, where they thought things worked and were rational and reasonable, and they want to go back to that. And some of them probably deep down inside know that we're not going to have that until we don't have Trump anymore, at the very least. But they want to believe that it's possible. They want to believe that he can potentially change at like 80 years old, that suddenly he's going to become a very different person. Maybe they believe that. I don't know. I would personally say, I don't care what tone he takes. What did he do after that press conference? What did he announce at that press conference that represented a radical change in the way the government is going to respond to this?
He refuses.
Is there anything?
Nothing. No. In fact, he has doubled down in attempting to repeal the Affordable Care Act. He has refused to open a special enrollment window so people who did not enroll for health insurance earlier in the year would have an opportunity to do so in the case that they contract a virus that could kill them. His actions have been disastrous both before all these quarantines and lockdowns started happening and after all these quarantines and lockdowns started happening. He has used the pressers for his own political agenda and his own attempts to rally his supporters for re-election. And instead of really, they need to hold his feet to the fire, and sometimes they do, and we give them credit when they do. We defended Acosta earlier this week when Trump berated him, okay? Mm-hmm. But don't then turn around and immediately give him like a cookie because he happens to change his tone and at least pretend, because I don't buy anything that Trump says, right? Mm-hmm. His actions speak louder than words. But all he needs to do is change his tone and pretend for these reporters to like give him a round of applause, and it's ridiculous. So we're not done yet. Then there was Rich Lowry, who is one of the editors over at National Review. He's a conservative, and he tweeted the following: Trump, rightfully, slamming the just the flu argument at this briefing. Except I think the person who made the just the flu argument was Trump himself. I can't remember. Maybe we should watch this video and see.
Flu in our country kills from 25,000 people to 69,000 people a year. That was shocking to me. And so far, if you look at what we have with the 15 people.
I asked that question. I said, how many people die of the flu? You keep hearing about flu shot, take your flu shot. But I said, how many people die of the flu? And they said, sir, we lose between 27,000 and, somewhere in the 70s.
I didn't know people died from the flu. 36,000 people died. 27,000 to 77,000, that's your flu. And again, you had a couple of years where it was over 100,000 people died from the flu. You're going to lose a number of people to the flu, but you're going to lose more people by putting a country into a massive recession. You don't have to necessarily grab every handrail unless you have to. You do certain things that you do when you have the flu. I mean, view this the same as the flu.
There were 60 million cases of swine flu and a lot of deaths. And they didn't do anything about it.
Right now, I guess we're at 26 deaths. And if you look at the flu for this year, we're at 8 million. We're looking at 8,000 deaths. Or depression.
The flu, we lose, thousands of people a year to the flu. But that number is very, very much under 1% in the category of the overall population in terms of this corona flu.
They are attacked, successfully attacked, to a much lesser extent by this pandemic, by this disease, whatever they want to call it. You can call it a germ, you can call it a flu, you can call it a virus. You can call it many different names. I'm not sure anybody even knows what it is.
I had not seen that last bit. What was that weird tangent he went on where he was speculating in real time about what word to apply to it and then implying that doctors don't know?
He does that kind of stuff all the time. All the time. Hey, but he's pretending to be somber about COVID-19 during one of his press conferences. So why don't we just give him all the credit in the world and pretend as though he wasn't the person downplaying COVID-19 from the beginning?
By
the way, Rich, real quick, I want to give a little more context, because while Rich Lowry is conservative, he is not like some Trump loyalist. He's actually been very critical of Trump in the past. So for him to give Trump credit for something that he's not actually deserving of is frustrating, because there are so few principled conservatives out there.
Yeah, it's not like there haven't been over the course of the last 3 weeks a dozen, 50 articles written. Why does Trump keep comparing this to the flu? Like, it's so out there. And so I looked for some quotes. He said at one point that this is in some ways easier than the flu, in some ways a little bit tougher. He said, it's a little bit like the flu. It's a little like the regular flu that we have flu shots for, and we'll essentially have a flu shot for this in a fairly quick manner. He just likes saying the word flu. And then the best, this was from a February 26th press conference. So he just said, people are wrong to compare this to the flu, to make even sort of vague attempts to connect this to the flu, because it's so different. And so I found this quote from February 26th press conference. This is a flu. This is like a flu. That's what he said. I don't see how you can be more direct in your comparison to the flu than saying this is a flu, this is like a flu. But Rich Lowry, give him some credit.
I just want the nightmare to end. I just want the nightmare to end. It's like every morning I wake up, I don't know when this is going to stop. I don't think it ever will. I wake up in the morning and for like maybe 10 seconds, I think like, oh, it was just one of those like lucid dreams. Like this pandemic's not real. Trump leading the country in the middle of a worldwide pandemic is not real. And then it all like hits me again. It's just like that devastating moment every morning where I realize that this is reality. This is the nightmare that we're living in. And it just gets worse, guys. It just gets worse. It gets worse. Like in
That's
2016,
the viral campaign we need.
2016, 2017, I'm like, well, it can't get any worse than this. No, wrong. It has gotten worse, and it will continue to get worse. And the people who have enabled Donald Trump, including those who launder his image the second he does something that appears even a little responsible, should be held accountable for that. They're the people who are supposedly informing the public, and they're doing such a poor job of it. And I'm being very generous in the way that I'm commenting on them.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.